Hello. I intended to start this YouTube channel months ago. I made a video back in May, I believe, about starting my YouTube channel, and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be so good. First video out next week, guys, and then my laptop broke and I haven't been able to get it fixed, and this is starting to sound like all the excuses you give your teacher when you haven't done your homework, so let's just crack on. I thought, in the spirit of spooky season, I would recommend some spooky books to get you through. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today. Enjoy. So the first book I'm going to recommend is something that it's a book that I've not shut up about since I read it, and everyone around me is sick of hearing it. But that book is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. So this book actually came out in 2020. And it follows 4 friends, so their names are Lewis, Ricky, Gabe and Cass, and they are all Native American. The story follows what happens to them 10 years after an unspeakable event that happened because of them, and how it comes back to haunt them. Very spooky, it's very creepy, extremely atmospheric, very gory though, and I would warn you away from it if you're sensitive to animal death, because there is the death of a dog in it. And also of people, but I know people can get a bit sensitive over animal death, especially. Almost body horror like in the gore that's described, which I quite enjoyed. I mean, I'm not big on body horror, but the way it was done was just enough, you know, just enough to creep me out. I'm currently reading his newest book, so this one, My Heart is a Chainsaw, which is about, so going off topic a little bit, but this one is about a girl called Jade who lives in the town of Proof Rock, and it's quickly becoming more gentrified as the days go on. But Jade is obsessed with slasher films and horror films, anything of the like, and things start to happen and add up that makes her believe that she will very soon be living in her own slasher film. And yeah, I'm only not very far in, so let's see. About 150 pages in. Life's busy, but I'm really enjoying it so far. But anyway, I don't have The Only Good Indians to hand, because as soon as I read it, I like shoved it at one of my friends and was like, you have to read this book. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I read it. A revenge tale as well, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Oh god, what happened to my voice then? Well, so the second book I do actually have with me. So the second book is Pine by Francine Toom. So this book is a Scottish folk horror, and it follows the life of 10-year-old Lauren and her dad Niall, who live in a little town in the Highlands. It follows them as things start to happen in their town to them and to other people, and when a girl in the town goes missing, shit hits the fan really. That's all I can say. I really don't know how to describe this book without spoiling it, but also, Lauren's mother is absent, which is a very big part of the story. And she left, I believe, 10 years? Yeah, so when Lauren was a baby, she left, or, you know, she disappeared. So, yeah, so there's a lot of supernatural elements to it. It feels very much like a ghost story. Yeah, it feels very folky. Really enjoyed it. Folk horror is my personal favourite genre of horror, or like subgenre. It was creepy, beautifully written. She does a really good job. Francine Toom does a really good job of creating this atmosphere. I really enjoyed it. I gave it like 4 to 5 stars. 4 stars. The only 5-star book on this list is The Only Good Indians, because I loved it that much. But yes, Pine is a very good book, especially for this time of year, and I think I tore through it in like 2 days, so get on it. The next book I want to talk about is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. So I got this book for my birthday. I've been very excited to read it, but unfortunately it did not kind of live up to my expectations. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, because I did. I just wanted a bit more, and I didn't want to be left confused, which is exactly what happened. But maybe that's saying more about me than the book. It's about a young woman and her new boyfriend, and they're on a road trip to go and meet his parents. But whilst on the trip, she is thinking of ending things, thinking about ending the relationship. Creepy shit happens when they get to the house and after they leave the house. I can't really explain it. It's one of those where it's like you can't explain it without spoiling it. There's a big twist that everyone raved about apparently when it first came out. I will say that it was very creepy and it did scare me. And I liked the atmosphere that was created, which I feel like is what I'm going to say about most of these books. I liked the way it was written. It just lost me a little bit in the last bit. People say that you need to read it a second time if you're struggling to understand the twist, and I did read up on the twist and I still don't understand it. You know, I don't really want to have to read a book twice to understand its meaning. But other than that, I did enjoy it. I would recommend reading it because a lot of people did like it, so it can't be, you know, it can't be that confusing. I just have like 3 brain cells left. That's on me. That's no one else's fault. It's pretty existential, which I think is where it lost me, but yeah, I gave it about 3 stars, I think. So not bad, but yes, it can't be that bad because it's in my recommendations for autumn. So yeah, I'm thinking of ending things by Ian Reid. So the next one I want to talk about, to jump off my bed then to find it, this book, The Ritual by Adam Neville. Horror film fans will know that there is a film of The Ritual, which I've seen. I watched it years ago and really loved it. This year I decided to pick up the book. I wanted something really spooky, something that would have me on the edge of my seat and shitting myself, basically. I was very close to giving it 5 stars. I still might, but nothing can dethrone the only good Indians for me this year. So yeah, The Ritual is, again, it follows 4 friends who go on a hiking trip to Sweden. So they are called Luke, Hutch, Dom and Phil, and they're all British. So it's I would class it as a British folk horror, even though it's not set in Britain. It's kind of a dark comedy as well. A lot of the dialogue is very funny, which I'm sure you will recall from the film if you've seen the film. Basically, they run into some supernatural wrath and terror, and things happen, and it gets gory, it gets bloody, it gets very scary, and shit happens. I feel like I'm saying this about every book, but shit happens, and I loved it. It was so good. I just love a scary book, and it is balls to the wall. There's no reservations. On the first page you're like, shit, we're 5 sentences in, there's already something happening. If you like that kind of thing, I would definitely recommend this. It really captures the feeling of like claustrophobia and feeling watched and hunted. The second half does take a turn, like a more experimental turn that a lot of people didn't like, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was different, and the ending had me a bit shook. Would recommend for spooky season. So technically the one I'm talking about next is a book, but it's kind of a selected story from a collection of short stories. What I'm going to recommend is a story from The October Country by Ray Bradbury. Look at this cover. I got it for Christmas. Apparently my dad couldn't find the a new version of it without it costing like the earth. So I've got this very retro little cover that I love, and it's tiny and it fits in my bag. But apparently back in the day in the UK it said this was 30p. Oh my god, can you imagine if books were still 30p? The amount of money I would save. Anyway, The October Country by Ray Bradbury. There's a story in this that is really quite gross, and I thought, wow, perfect for spooky season. It's called Skeleton, and I would warn people against this who don't like body horror because it's another one of those. It's about a man called Mr. Harris, and he's struggling with, you know, like health anxiety, and he goes to the doctor with complaints that he can feel his bones aching. Not nice. I ended up in hospital last week with inflamed ribs, so I really feel his pain. That hurt, that ached. But anyway, off topic. It's just a really creepy, gross short story and very good. It did make me cringe, and the ending was like, I just felt a bit squeamish because I'm a bit squeamish anyway. Skeleton from The October Country by Ray Bradbury. Another book that wasn't originally on this list, but it should bloody well be because it's one of my favourites ever. I read this book last year ahead of the film that came out of it, which was absolutely shocking. But that is the classic Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So Rebecca follows the story of an unnamed young narrator. She marries a widow who lost his wife named Rebecca a little while before the story starts, and he whisks his new bride away to his mansion in Cornwall. If you've read Daphne du Maurier's stories before, you'll know that she grew up in Cornwall, she loved it. It captures the atmosphere of like the moody British coastline so well. I absolutely loved it. Being a native Brit myself, even though I'm from good old Yorkshire, it's on the wrong side of the country, to this book, but yeah, it's a classic gothic novel. If you're looking for something else that's it's still spooky but it's shorter, I would recommend The Birds by du Maurier. The film does it absolutely no justice. I feel like she's been absolutely shot on with film adaptations, to be fair. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, definitely read it if you're into gothic, because it's amazing, and every day I think about it. It's so good. More short story recommendations, and this time from the king of horror himself, Stephen King. He's got a collection called Night Shift, which I read in preparation for my creative writing final project at uni, which I got a first for, so maybe I owe it all to King, who knows. I read Night Shift, or at least most of it, so I read selected stories from it. Ones I would recommend would be Children of the Corn, which is a really famous King story. It's a folky horror, yet again. Things happen to a couple who become stranded in this abandoned little town full of creepy little kids. There's also The Mangler, which is a bit of a silly, it's one of those silly King stories where it's like this inanimate object gains autonomy, and it's very odd, and it was actually quite scary. I don't want to spoil too much, but yes, The Mangler. The Boogeyman was a good one. Just really classic scary King. The ending had me shook. It was very good. There is another one in this collection called I Know What You Need, and it's a bit of a stalker story and it's a bit weird. But my favourite one from this collection is called Strawberry Spring, and it tells the story of a man who he's recalling his time on a college campus when when a string of murders happened, and the ending leaves you thinking whether he had any involvement. It's very creepy, and I enjoyed it the most out of all of them. Although I did really like Trucks as well, which surprised me because I was like, damn, I'm scared of a truck at the minute, which is it's a new one. Maybe it's even more scary to me now because of the petrol shortage in the UK, or the fact that we live under a shit government, but we don't have to talk about that right now. We're on about books. Anyway, another novel I wanted to mention that I almost forgot about, and I don't know how because it's one of the scariest things I've ever read. It's called Pen Pal by, oh my god, I'm really gonna fuck his name up. It's either Dathan or Dathan Auerbach. It's called 1,000 Vultures, or he was on Reddit. This story is it's a story that is told non-chronologically, and it follows this young boy who is recalling his experiences with a stalker from when he was younger. I think when I read it, it traumatized me a little bit. I was only about 14 when I read it. It scared me so much. It was originally on No Sleep, and then he published it himself, I believe. Yes, Pen Pal, it's so bone chilling. It genuinely makes me feel sick to my stomach. If you like stalker stories and things that are really creepy and they don't always make sense, but then it all comes together in the end like one big puzzle, then definitely read it. Definitely read Pen Pal, because it is terrifying, and it genuinely, it's genuinely scared me, and it still does at 22. So yes, Pen Pal. I think that draws my book recommendations to a close. If you like to hear me ramble about things and not really say much about books because I don't want to spoil them, I don't want to say hit the subscribe button, it feels wrong, but subscribe if you want to. I'm going to try my best to get videos out. I hope this list helped you a bit. I hope you find yourself some really good spooky reads. Please recommend me some scary books because I absolutely love a good scary read. It fuels my little spooky heart. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you get to read some of these books because they are so good, especially The Only Good Indians and also Rebecca. I know I said the Graham Jones one was the only one on this list that is 5 stars, but Rebecca's definitely a 5-star. I will see you next time. Bye!